We are at VolitionRx. It is the third quarter earnings and business update. We often say this, but a lot has been going on, and a lot really has been going on. Cameron Reynolds, CEO, not least a very successful capital markets day you had recently. But let's start with the numbers. Where are we on the all-important numbers?
Yes, Nick, it has been a very busy quarter. We finished with around 21 million in the bank, as opposed to just over 17 at the end of the year. So we've yet again successfully raised money through this period and allowed us to deliver all the milestones which I'm about to go through.
So as I mentioned, a hugely successful capital markets day, done virtually this year for obvious reasons. And you were talking there initially about the Nu.Q vet product and its possibilities for the future.
Yes, Nick, we're extremely excited to be able to announce, because of the successful Capital Markets Day and that we have the product ready, we're launching this month in a couple of weeks' time on November 30th. And this is a huge opportunity, I think. A lot of people ask, what's the market opportunity? That's what we're working through now, but we do know there are 77 million dogs in the US, and we're targeting the wellness checks, the annual wellness checks in dogs over 7 years old, which is about 20 million dogs, and the numbers seem to look about 70 or 80% of those dogs get tested every year. So I think a market size in the millions is achievable if this goes moderately well. And millions, what does that mean for Volition? A few million tests. We make about $45 in revenue per test on our end. We don't run the lab, we're not doing any of the sales side, that's all run by others and the vets themselves. So 85% of that goes straight as to profit on gross margin. And that's only on this one test, which targets a couple of the cancers, and only in dogs and only in the US. We have a lot of plans to expand into other animals, other labs around the world. And
you've got some activities planned around that space, and looking at the Capital Markets Day and beyond, you seem to be very much concentrating on key opinion leaders and knowledge-based around the products that you're going to be dealing with.
Yes, we think the data is very convincing, that it's a very good test, very low cost, very easy to use, great margin, but we wanted to know from the experts in the space what they thought, because ultimately they make the decision on whether people end up buying it, and the vets do. So we're targeting the key opinion leaders throughout the United States in the first few months, and the vets in Texas, because the first lab is at Texas A&M. The Texas A&M lab have issued an indicative quote for the first quote for $370,000, so it's very meaningful. And we intend to aggressively launch in other labs around the US and around the world once we've bedded down the platform in this first facility. Hopefully in Q1 we start expanding. And there is no test out there which does what we do, or even close.
And you're going to be doing some lunch and learn events as well. Just briefly a bit about that.
So we have several key opinion leaders who've been extremely helpful, including our own Heather Wilson-Robles. So we're reaching out to the key opinion leaders and groups of vets and companies that run these sort of facilities to really tell them what the product is, how they can use it as a general wellness test. The results were fantastic. It'll be below $200, we think, to the dog owners. So it's something that's very affordable, that's very accurate, so we think it should be very good, but we really want to educate as many people as we can. So it's kind of a beta launch. We're trying to launch the product and educate at the same time, and once that's all kind of bedded down, we'll aggressively expand the base.
Also on the Capital Markets Day, you concentrated on the human side of things, and we were talking there quite a lot about blood cancer.
What's very exciting is exactly the same assay for the same cancers, the blood cancers, work incredibly well in dogs and in humans. So in this time of pandemics, we can launch essentially the same assay in two very different markets. So the dog market we can access very quickly and easily, given our fantastic partners in Texas. But we've also been looking to launch a human version of the product. So I'm very happy to announce today we have now signed with DXO, which is a very good contract research organisation, for an FDA trial, 510K trial collection process, which will take 10 to 12 months, we think, for the first submission on the first set of blood cancers, and all in all 22 months for the final process. So this is very exciting for us. I think it's potentially a very good market, again like the dog market. Blood cancers are very dangerous in humans, but very treatable. About 77,000 Americans every year get the blood cancers, and what makes this test potentially very useful and when the cancer very scary for doctors, they're very non-specific symptoms If you have one of the blood cancers, the symptoms can be, I'm feeling very tired, other very non-specific kind of symptoms. So we think a test which can really help the doctor know who should go to biopsy the quickest to really speed up the process in the most at risk is very, very valuable. And like in the dogs, it's a very simple test, and it could be very, very high profitable, high margin, and run by different labs.
Also on the human side, lung and colorectal. Where are we on those particular subjects?
Yes, I was just mentioning them briefly. So we're very serious about lung and colorectal. We've had some great results, as you know. We're collecting some big trials worldwide. Unfortunately, the Early Detection Research Network have paused collection on the large US trial during the pandemic. We're not quite sure when that's going to start again, but we're very, very serious about our colorectal products. They have been collecting in Asia, in Taiwan, during the pandemic, so we'd expect to have some data early next year in the lung and hopefully the colorectal. We're presenting the data at conferences, so they've been pushed back as well. But we're very serious, and we'll see a lot more data on that next year.
As we're speaking, we are getting breaking news, and there's going to be more of it in coming days about a vaccine for COVID-19. But you've also been active in the COVID-19 space as well. Where are you on that? We've
been very active, Nick, and again, it shows the tremendous flexibility of our platform. Our basic assays don't measure the virus, they measure the body's over-response to the virus, which is actually what kills you in COVID, also in influenza, and also in things like sepsis. So it's called NETS, N-E-T-S, which is the body's reaction to the virus, which is very deadly, and there are really no good prognostics or monitoring disease progression. So we've done a lot of work on it. We have a lot of data coming up in the short term where we've been working on prospective and retrospective trials. And it doesn't actually matter on the COVID pandemic, because this is a big problem. The NETosis is a big problem whether there's a pandemic or not. A potentially absolutely huge market. Just for example, in influenza, it kills millions of people every year. And it's the same process in the NETosis which kills you. So we're very, very excited about that. We expect the next Capital Markets Day to be on the subject of the NETosis for COVID, influenza, and perhaps even sepsis, which is the biggest. Not sure if you're familiar with it, but sepsis is the biggest killer in hospitals, and it's very, very tough to predict when it's progressing. And it looks like our assays could be very useful in that. And again, that would be a very simple product as well. Well, we did promise a lot going on in this quarter, so you've partly answered my final question there, but just bring us up to date where we are now. Let's look to the fourth quarter and also beyond. So I think you can layer in a lot of different things going on. We're very happy to be launching product. I think we've got it loud and clear from everyone. Now the platform is stable, reliable, reproducible, robust. It's taken us a few years to get there. It is now absolutely there. We've got a new facility for the production of all our key components. We'll be rolling out the vet product, which we expect, we don't know, we'll see, but expect to be an extremely good product and very profitable, and roll that out in the US and worldwide. I will also do a lot of work on the blood cancers and the other human cancers, as I've said, and also potentially a huge market for our assays is also the NETosis, which is influenza, COVID, sepsis. Again, how can we do this with a small budget and a small team? It's all exactly the same platform which measures all of these things. I think a scientific team, when we started, thought they could have something very important, and I think that's absolutely what we've discovered through all this process, and now we're rolling it out in a lot of different areas. Well, I have to say, there is never a dull moment with VolitionRx. I look forward to catching up with you in the new year, but for the time being, Cameron Reynolds, CEO of VolitionRx. Thank you for filling us in on all those details. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Nick.